So let's chat about an important topic. Normally, I'm not political on this channel, and this is really a more economic statement than anything else. I'm disappointed with everyone politically in the whole world. So I'm not anybody's side really. Barely on my own side at times, but I think the tariff idea, uh, particularly between North American countries, the tariff idea that Trump currently has, regardless of your other thoughts on Trump, I'm just going to skip all those, and I hope to speak to anyone, whether they're a supporter or not. To be honest, I really don't care about your opinion that much. But one thing to remember as we talk about tariffs is obviously the really high ones on neighboring countries that we want to be stable and healthy, have healthy economies is really dumb. Now, Trump is pretty much a fan of being a bluffer and full of shit. And even if you like him, you know that's true. It could be even a good negotiating tactic. I mean, he doesn't play nice. He is blusterous. He's obnoxious. Even if you liked him, he's still an obnoxious person, I think. I would not invite him to a house party. I'd be happy to talk to him. But I don't know. He's not my kind of guy. But the questions I have are what's he actually doing and going to do. I think in particular I would like to address very few things because I'm not familiar with everything he's doing. I know that almost all the media I see appears to be gobs of lies of all kinds, of all sorts. And now AI is involved in making gobs more content, and that's annoying. And so really the only people I might trust are the people I never see, my theoretical friends, who I might share values with. I share history with them. I'd love to see some of them again, actually. But anyway, back to the tariff thing. I would even propose, like, what if there were zero tariffs? Okay, let's just imagine it. And let's not write a big, long, free trade agreement, okay? But let's just, like, pick a few issues that we can think about and say, that is how we would like things to be. And let's just imagine this proposal that I have at the moment, which is zero tariffs among Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. Very clear legal immigration policies to take care of everyone, including the workers that are involved with different visas. It's more complicated than you know about. I know more about it than you do, probably, because I have a lot more friends than you in the, you might say, migrant worker industry, agricultural expats. Some of them become immigrants. Some of them might marry into your family. I mean, like I'm talking about in particular, mostly Mexico and the U.S., because there's such an apparent cultural difference between the two. And in fact, there is almost none, really. Both countries are looked down on by other countries for being crazy motherfuckers to some degree, by different groups of people. They're both massively diverse. Both of them have a lot of amazing food available for various reasons, different reasons. But certainly I live in a place where tropical fruits grow over there and everything else grows up here. And so agriculturally, I live in a place where it's really easy to grow food at low cost. That is a survival decision about where to locate yourself if you want to prepare for the future. Move to a place the food grows. The real food, not the monocropping crap that's killing the soil. But that's why I'm so interested in food forest farming, because that's the only type of sustainable farming that there actually is in the world. I'm not going to talk about the unusual cases of people in the far north or south or in some weird conditions I don't know about. There's so many climates and microclimates, and every one of them is a puzzle. Like I've often said, every plant's a puzzle. The truth is, every location is a puzzle. And even something like the Köppen climate zone system, of describing different climate zones, and you should know what your climate zone is, because that will make the things I say to you more useful, and I can communicate to you better and help you with a vision of how you can plant in your own area, or maybe your friends can or something, things that are not invasive. It always comes to people's minds, so I'll just address it up front, but obviously not that. I just watched a video about how they introduced beavers in South America, in maybe Argentina, and then they ended up crossing over to Chile, and they changed whole landscapes. And I'm not even going to say whether that's good or bad, but it did have a great economic cost, and that was from moving a species from one place to another. And so I will always be very careful about that. I'm not worried about near natives. I've talked about that in other videos. Plants that grow near here and aren't a problem aren't going to be a problem here. That's a pretty no-brainer. And most trees that can't reproduce themselves currently within the climate, you might say, well, that could become invasive later with climate change. Well, guess what? If you have enough fucking climate change that your tree nature is changing on what germinates, then it would be very advisable of you to have a living seed bank of a whole bunch of trees that will then be ready to take that area over and make sure there are trees at all. In other words, if your native trees are going to die, have replacements available. And this is true all over the world, okay? Let's say there's climate change, let's say a meteor hits, let's say shit occurs, okay? And what has always occurred? It's shit. Shit has always occurred over and fucking over. And so we know shit's going to occur. And so putting in living seed banks in microclimates in your cool landscaping space, if you're the kind of person who can try and finance that, I've done it at a very small level. With the right financing, oh my God, I could go fuck nuts. I mean, for example, this is zero invasiveness possibilities whatsoever. I just bring it up because it sounds cool. I have successfully grown one species of banana here. It's a really cool one. It's the Assyrian banana. I think it has some other names. Musa and Sete. You can look that up. I think it has a different scientific name for some reason. Fucked up scientists can't come up with naming conventions, or I don't know what the fuck happened. Anyway, it grows, but it needs to be taken care of. It needs to be put in the right spots. It needs to have all its seeds collected. It needs to be replanted heavily all the time. Like make lots of babies of it during the rains. Like use the rainy season to make like thousands of fucking babies. And then put those in microclimates where that banana does the best. Now that's just one species. But then I'm thinking, okay, well, we know about the stupid bananas we eat that don't even have seeds because they're mutant. They're really cool. Cavendish. And there was one before that actually went extinct. What if I had a banana preserve, A place where I collected very carefully, trying as best I can to never introduce any disease of any kind of banana. So make it so we sterilize the seeds to the best of our ability, and we also keep them separate from each other in case one doesn't do well for some reason. In other words, initially start out with bananas that are very shy. They don't want to be near each other. They don't want to cross-pollinate. They don't want to have sex. They want to do that. They're shy bananas. And then you could have certain spots you picked, and you could learn about, read about, invite scientisty people over to tell me more than I know and shit, be smart. And tell me how far away I have to put them if I want to have one spot where I just plant shit tons of bananas. I already got a spot picked out. It's a down spot. It's down there. It's a place where if I ever have excess water, I can always put it there, and none of it should get wasted. But it's an amazing spot. It would be great for people and plants. People like to be among banana plants because they look exotic and large. In this case, people that we're talking about, to be, journalistically valid, I will point out is a survey of one person, which is me. I think they look cool as fuck, so I like them. That's it. I want more of them. Shit, what's going on over here? Alright, shit was uploading. I don't know what the fuck. I got distracted because I charged my camera. Let me just check my fucking upload. Do I even have an upload going? I better. You motherfucker. Oh, I don't think I do. If so, that changes my plan for my immediate next actions. Ideally, I would have a person here, a role of a person who I simply hand media to them, and other people can do it too. It all gets copied instantly. It gets deleted off my device, but we are rock solid certain that that information is not being lost, that that data is well protected, immediately backed up. You could check it in with the agreement. All this goes online right away. It just goes straight onto a channel. We just drag the fucking clips over. It's not really going to happen that way because we're going to look at every fucking one of them before we publish it. But you could have an amazing stream of just like an intense amount, a wall of clips showing the most interesting of various related channels. Kind of a super channel. And each channel would agree to that. They would be on board with them doing that. And it would be smaller clips that promote these other really cool channels. That sounds pretty fun. But yeah, it would require some editing level. But if the central channel was publishing like a big stream of it, other people could even download it and have smaller versions and upload it themselves without losing much quality. Or they can also publish it on their own channels if we have enough bandwidth. And these are all things I don't know. I need bandwidth, and if I'm using the computer and I'm uploading like 24/7 is my goal of stuff that I collected somehow. What if there was like 10 people here like me and another 10 who are really good at being on camera, and there was a working kitchen system and some other functional shit, and then all of these channels are just being published massively out of here as kind of like a content house. I can think of many videos that I would rather make with someone else rather than me, because it's more fun to talk to people when you're making a goddamn video. I have so many talking head videos, it's just annoying. I'm sick of me. God damn. I don't even watch my own videos, I don't want to watch me. I'm already here. If I was me and I was smarter than me, what would I tell myself? I think at the moment, I would say, dude, relax, don't worry about it. I think that is exactly what I would say. And I would say, dude, don't call me dude, who the fuck are you? And I would say, oh, I'm you. And I'd be like, oh, well, that's cool. So you can call me dude if you're me. I don't know why anybody ever thought that was an insult. I accidentally did tell an old guy, I called him dude, and he was offended. I was like, whoa, dude. Well, I said that internally because I didn't want to say it twice. I had no idea it was, in his book, an insult. Really nice guy, totally cool dude. Really cool. But yeah, I didn't call him dude after that, that's for sure. I don't know. Wonder if I have any old person attributes yet, where I'm just like, if you say this, fuck you. I think I might have hundreds of them. I don't know. They're in my videos. I mean, luckily, what I do is I insult the entire world. So I'm really not insulting any individuals. You don't have to take it personally. In fact, if you take it personally, I think you're probably dumb or something. So don't do that. It would be more convenient for both of us since I don't really know you or care who you are. And you probably don't want to know me if you don't like me. So problem solved right there. Nobody needs to meet anybody. Awesome. Love it. Fuck. Okay, we're done. We're done with the upload of today. We look at held community items. There are 0. I just posted a huge number of really long videos, which were all about land use. And the problem is there's too many of them. Oh, I don't know what the fuck's going on with electricity here. God damn it, motherfucker. Well, we got shit to do. So let's do that shit. To some degree, I'm going to go for the wall of content method of just sharing with you what I'm thinking about while I am in rather interesting times, you know, you might say. I guess I can leave this here. And we'll just keep chatting then about whatever the fuck. The thing is, I'm still just not that worried about it being a rambly bunch of crap. Because I believe that although you have the stamina apparently, or happen to click in this spot on the video, you have the stamina to listen to what I'm saying. The question is, will anyone have the stamina to actually write it up and organize it? And the answer to that is AI is going to do that job. I believe that if I ask the question, how do I index an entire channel of YouTube, have HTML produced, linking to each one, downloading and making a page for every description, stats on it, if there's any stats related to it, of how interesting it is to other people, any related discussion groups related to that exact video, meaning you start a thread on every video and then you post a link to that video on Reddit or other forums, whatever forum is current to you at this time. Just translate that shit. I don't know when you're watching this video. But basically you create posts so that you specifically are posting it in places where it will get reposted. The goal isn't how many people you can post to. The question is how many reposters you can post to. Because that also makes your message more authentic. It has one vote from someone into their social world. And so influencing influencers is very valuable. I live in a place where I could actually invite influencers here. I don't like the term very much, but I suppose it makes perfect fucking sense. In other words, you're mostly the face of whatever product you're willing to sell for. You may or may not be an intelligent human being. If you're a traveling influencer, which you would have to be if you came here, like this would not be your first trip, right? I don't know. I mean, maybe I would risk that. Why not? Fuck it. I could train him and have a soft landing. I mean, okay, why discriminate against the new influencer? You know, in fact, why not build them up? Screw it. I disagree with me. I think we should have ways for smaller influencer type interested people, particularly I think not just Instagram. I mean, or still things or TikTok or very short format. But I really like the idea of focusing. If I'm going to, control the invite list here, which I'm definitely going to do. That's my job. Is invite people who make longer form stuff of any kind, written, video, film. In other words, or it could be that I guess there's people who blog their travels, I guess. I'm hesitant to have them here. I don't think I want to do that. I'd rather have people come here just for this. Or, I don't know. I mean, I have such a mix of attributes that I consider when somebody wants to come here. And currently, no one fits them. Which is a bad number if you think you want to have visitors and a functioning economy. So I'm trying to get from no to yes on offering people to be here. Oh, that late day sun feels actually really nice. See, now this is what I was talking about designing landscape for the sun. This isn't even that late day. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have this time of the day where it's too fucking hot, okay? And so we maximize use of shade during that time. Natural, not natural. We're growing shade, of course, as much as we can. We can grow shade in groves and have seeding within those groves of all kinds of species that are specifically selected because they're already here or because we brought them in. There's ones nearby in town where if it grows near people and it's therefore not very offensive tree, I'm going to fucking try and get a cutting of it or a piece of it and grow it here because it's an already approved tree for this location. I don't have to worry about it being invasive. I know it's going to serve me in some ways right away, like deep shade, like seriously fucking deep shade that's short. This is important. It's a short tree, which means if I grow enough of them and put them in the right spots, I can grow super dense, sculptable, controlled trees that are very comfortable to sit under. And I can grow a bunch of them in the same spot and have benches in there and whatever comfortable thing you want to make up. I don't know. It could be a fire at night. You never know. Who knows what's in there? But it's a naturally plant protected area. You know? And that's like a friendly the term I often use is hedgerow, that I have to plant hedgerows, right? And I always talk about how they need to be such mean hedgerows and like arg and make habitat for the animals and keep the fuckers out from going through it and have cool plants in there and all the food for the birds and everything. And it's all like, yay, hedgerows, okay? I agree with that. That's great. But like, what about pleasant green spaces for humans? Now I've got one going on way up there. It's a circle of cedars. It's really cool. And it's still kind of in sculpture and there's never been a fire in it yet. I need visitors and I need people who want to make a fire in it. We're ready to go. We would have to maybe do a day or two of work with some clippers and saws and string or shit to sculpt it a little bit. But it's getting out of control. And it needs to be controlled as a big hedge. So I need to top the top of it, probably, yep. That's the decision right there. Like I think I can even maybe drive a vehicle in there. Maybe there's space for that. There probably should be somewhere, at least one space that has vehicle access. Or bring some boxes in and use a chain saw on a pole. But somehow cut that shit a little bit so that it grows more like a dome. And earlier I had thought I was going to pull the tops of it together like a dome, but guess what? We never did. We never did that. And so it makes perfect sense to just top the fucker off, all of the fuckers, and then let their branches that are growing in the places we want survive. And we can always cut it as high up as we can reach and then decide later, like, oh, we're going to cut it down further, but don't cut it too far down. And also, the other key thing here that we could learn from this one tree experiment I'm mentioning is plant like fuck tons more of those. They're just cedars, okay? They're a stupid tree. They're not super useful. You can grow as many of them as you want if you do it right in a bucket. I unfortunately ignored one of mine and they all died. Like 300 trees or something. You know, they were small, but if I had put them in pre-grown like that into the ground in the beginning of the rainy season, then if I timed things right for germination of seeds and making of seedlings, then I could actually cover this place in plants very quickly. But I am currently too disorganized and understaffed to actually function at that. Meaning plants die if I'm in charge of them with no money. With money, I can water plants. That's how things are. Can't do every fucking thing, can you? God, this is nice out here. So I left trees over here that block the late day sun into this area here. And that keeps it cooler for people who want to cool off. Like, that's why I'm enjoying this space so much right now. And that's why you have to very carefully not cut down trees, even if you have to cut down some. Now, those ones almost didn't make it from the pine beetle plague, so I almost lost them. But since, like, 2 decades ago, I thought, no, those trees stay. And what's happened really with tree sculpting here is I sculpt the skyline. It's not all about my own location. You got to think about the whole nature of the property. There's a place, there's a park called Kaboko Gardens or something like that. Kaboko, I forgot. Kabuko. It's in Seattle, Washington State, and it's there's a hill there, Pill Hill, goes south from there. That's what I recall. I don't know where it is. Anyway, the cool thing about it was that you could very easily, I'm very sensitive to this shit, you could very easily tell that the views from various places had been plant sculpted as far as what this guy planted there. And I think this is like a Japanese garden design or something. But it's a bunch of mix of trees. It's mildly slopey land, and I would love to go there again, or go through a virtual tour. It'd be just fine. Whatever is available. But I think about that a lot here, about like what do places look like from another place? And I've left a lot of very stark, big, tall trees for fun, where I can leave them, and until I have a reason not to leave them, they continue being, and they're part of the landscape of the skyline. They're absolutely beautiful, and I've left different kind of species depending on the spot. And so when people come here, they can actually learn what kind of trees there are. And then the real key isn't here. That's not the point. Here's a place they're just visiting. The question is, where they live, what species of trees either grow there already, which is very good, and also which species of trees they should move in because they want to protect themselves against massive climate change. And it isn't just trees, of course. Anything that will grow for you that's worthwhile and maybe profitable would be nice. But mainly I'm talking not about a profitable goal at all. Profitable goals make monocultures. And you can still get profits off your land, and there's a lot of ways to plant it and use it. But I guess I'm really looking at more mixed-use spaces. That's who I want to partner with, are people who also want to create mixed-use spaces. And I've used examples in other videos of, like, I would grow a ton of agaves here. There's zero chance of any, invasiveness. Bamboo is under control. I have 2 kinds that live. One died. I don't have enough moisture to currently have bamboo matter. my first plant I ever put in, right over there. A big bamboo. Well, it wasn't big then, it was just one piece. And it took for fuck ever to grow. And now I've realized if I put it in different spots, it grows like about 6 to 7 times faster. In other words, the microclimates are absolutely critical. I talk about them, and many people probably just tune me out. They're like, microclimate, I don't know what that means. Fuck that. No, it means the difference between your agricultural success in a difficult environment that doesn't have water all year, which it would be nice if it did have more water, but it doesn't. So buck up, buttercup, and learn how to store water and learn how to use much less. Those are 2 goals here. And this is not the most water-starved place near me. There's harder places. There's way worse places people buy land at that have way more water problems and conflicts and fucking any of the violent history of the West. Probably some high percentage of it was over water rights. Fucking water people will fight for. And that's one of the reasons I have this philosophy that all your water should come from the rain, and you should store all of it. And the part people skimp on is the storage. That's what I'm skimped on. I also have buildings I'm not even capturing water off of. In other words, I'm breaking all my own rules right now, and I'm really pissed off at me, and I should be punished heavily by making myself do a crowdfunding project for reawakening this cool place and having enough water available to make people comfortable, happy, and clean for really as long as they need to stay. Because I think I don't just want to have a place where it's really hard to go to and you're totally, well, I mean, it depends on how much someone's paying, I suppose, because I have to, I suppose, have pricing tiers. Because some people don't want to pay for what it costs me to provide them with a nice place. I don't know that. And there's different levels of tourist. I think of when I was a first tourist in this area, I didn't know very much at all. I just lucked out. I ended up here years later when I was trying to remember the nicest places I'd seen in my life. And this place wasn't the most amazing by any one standard. It was just fucking awesome on enough of them, and just great and not bad also. Not bad is a good thing, because there are some really great climates that have something bad about them. In other words, if there's a part of the year when you don't want to be there, why the fuck would you invest any of your resources in that location? Why would you invest in a place that, no matter how much of cool nomad capitalist-y kind of have lots of passports, travel around sort of person is? Okay, most of us are not that. We have one place we're going to be able to invest in. We'd like to invest well. We don't travel around a lot, at least I don't. And so, like, for the people I would want as neighbors here, it would be people who want to invest the rest of their lives in making this an amazing community, to be a good neighbor here, to understand the local culture and customs, to fit in correctly, to donate to the right people, to grow stuff, plant the stuff that isn't economically profitable, but is for whatever reason maybe a really good bet for the future, Like, I'd like to plant more nut trees. I think my nut trees may have died. I think that's a huge shame because they weren't that old. And it is my belief that if I had watered them, then they would not be dead. And I think I lost my biggest one, and I have to walk by there again, but I almost don't want to look. It's like looking for a dead friend. And that's a tree was like we raised for at least 10 years. It wasn't in buckets. We put it in buckets for some years, but then we put it in the ground and it did really well. Then we had 2 years where there wasn't enough rain, and There was no schedule on how to respond to that like it was an emergency, because it was an emergency. And I never really understood it. And you know what? It might get worse. It could be worse this year. Easily. I have no idea. All I know is this. I know the solution. The set of solutions to it. One is don't use much water. The other one is capture all the fucking water and store all the fucking water. I already have buildings to do it off of immediately. It just requires an investment of storage tanks, which are mobile, that can be moved later. But in addition to having them, we would probably dig most of them into slope. And gutters, you know, there's a bunch of gutters. There's a bunch of labor and ladders and shit that need to happen. So basically bringing water to this place, because all of the normal water flow that you might expect through some place in the world is all tapped off by up in the hills for use by humans in some way or another. It's okay. That's how things are here. I'm not going to dig a fucking well. Don't mention it. All right. All right. You already mentioned it now. See, I heard you in my head. No. First of all, that would put me in competition with a different local well, in which I do not wish to be in competition. In other words, it starts a competition to drill into the soil and suck water out. That is a bad way to get water. And so I ain't doing it. No wells. Now, if you want to experiment with wells, it's not a fucking moral rule. I mean, you could just dig a big hole and see what happens in a few spots. Fuck it. Let's dig down anyway. I want to know what's down there and see what's there. And if some of those things start out as just big holes, well, I dug holes when I was a little kid. We didn't go that far down. We were just little kids and short little attention spans and short in stature as well. So, but like, what if I picked out like where I think the most watered place would be here? The place that the most water would be. And I can guess, I can make a couple guesses, and I think I might be wrong, is my problem. But that doesn't really fucking matter. Because I think digging into the earth itself is almost a sacred act, in a way. It's to go to the underworld. It's to maybe dig a cave. I have a spot picked out where it's a secret spot. Very few people have ever seen it who have even visited here. I would say under 1% easily. If that, fuck. I'd never take anyone there because it's not actually a really interesting spot. And that actually makes it more interesting to me. Maybe I should keep that as like a private, well, I have plans for that spot anyway. I got plans for every fucking where. It's fairly annoying. Alright, should I keep walking around? Yeah, I gotta walk around. And show you the fucking forest as I see it. The social forest, the metaphorical forest, the real fucking forest all around. If I was going to have more trees of a particular species here right now, thank you for asking. I thought you'd never ask. If I was going to plant a bunch of them that were already grown, first of all, I got to have more water. Well, I'm getting more water to drink, but no, there has to be more water on the land. It's the only option here. It has to be I can do that and I can make microclimates really easily. There's bulldozer work involved in most of them. I have great faith in at least two of them that they're going to, no, three of them. Wait, one, two, four of them. That they'll do really amazing weird shit. Okay, yeah, that was a real number. And then a whole bunch of other places have amazing potential for every fucking thing. Planting agaves. I see no reason why I don't have thousands of agaves. I can put them places. They make good fences. They look pretty. I know how to germinate them. Once they get going, they don't need any help. They're fucking studly fucking plant. Nopales. I want more nopales. And everywhere. Prickly pear. That's how you know it. The hawthorns are doing fine on their own. They don't need my help, but they are a really great tree. You can also graft onto it. And so I think one of the agricultural goals has to be every year to collect the best seeds of them, germinate all of them, and then plant those trees. In other words, instead of having a couple babies here and there, instead of being spread around by just birds, we force create thousands of these hawthorns, which are really awesome for grafting onto of other things. They're our best rootstock choice. It is native, and we must utilize the fuck out of it. And I have had limited success. Part of that success has been limited by squirrels eating all my fruit. And the annoying part of having squirrels eat all your fruit. Once they figure out you have fruit, and once you end up building up a squirrel farm, and it's kind of annoying because you don't even get the seeds off your own tree to plant more of it. So that's another reason to wall in places. And it's really a terrible thing to say, but you know, in order to survive in the forest, you have to decide which other things don't eat because they are interfering with your ability to eat. And you may wish to decide, I'm going to kill that fuzzy cute thing because it's in competition with me. It's in direct competition with me for my food. And having food growing here is a goal of mine and anyone I have near me. And they have about 1 billion hills up there all around to go live in. And I don't wish to have a squirrel farm. It's not my goal. I would be willing to kill squirrels. There's too many of them, and I will only do it in certain places. They're only in, I mean, I don't know. I need almost thermal imaging and ways to really track them, but I know there's a bunch of them. The fact that they eat all the fruit, see, that's the problem. If they ate 10% of the fruit, that would be okay. Even if they ate 25%, I would be feeding wildlife, you know. And that's an attractive thing to be doing. I'm in favor of that. And you know, I'm probably not going to like skin them and eat them or something, because they don't seem like they're worth it to me. Maybe I'm just not hungry enough. But, you know, I just eat a lot of pasta and crap-ass food. And I'm not in the mood to kill squirrels and eat them. And when I was raising rabbits, I would do that again. Rabbits are fucking awesome. I was an expert rabbit farmer for a while. But I needed more mouths to feed at a steady level. And I needed an income. And my infrastructure got old. Fences got squished by falling trees. Some of that is recoverable. Each structure would have to be analyzed to see about it. I do have a big stack of wood beams that we cut here with a chainsaw at great cost, actually, but I was providing employment and I was getting beams. The unfortunate thing is those beams have not been used to construct anything, even though there is stuff just laying around that is good roofing. They're tiles. So somewhere in various places, very quickly, I should be able to put up, and it almost doesn't matter exactly where, and I hate to say it that way because I love to plan shit and try and figure it all out ahead of time. Maybe I'll disagree with what I'm saying any minute because it sounds suspicious as fuck. But see, I already disagree. If I have tiles in a spot, I should build something in the spot because I have all these spots I want to expand. And it's true that it's a little confusing if I have an intention to change a location a bunch. It's a little confusing to not want to build it right next to it. But my reason to not do that is because I may wish to expand that building in a more intelligent, bigger way. And so maybe I build a tile roof near it. Maybe like the plant reproduction one. That's a pretty nice little tile roof, actually. And if that was built in a spot, next to a spot dug into slope that we could later cover with a roof, just outside of a place like that, the point is get those tile roofs up somewhere near where they're at. Roofing of any kind would be very useful. I need to string between two trees cables which specifically hook up in chosen spots with padding to not damage the tree. Selecting trees that are exactly the correct distance apart or slightly more, since we have a taut cable holding this tarp up, a very large tarp, and it would probably be a camo tarp. I like that the best because I don't want it to be very visible from the air. Or does that look suspicious? I don't know. I just don't like people in my business. And this would be for camping. I could extend the camping season, and I could pick spots very close in because I over and over think that people are like going to be happy a little further away from the house. And the truth is, most of them want to be near as much infrastructure as they can be. And my infrastructure currently lacks heavily. I am very aware of that. I'm very critical of my infrastructure. But everything costs to fix and also to build better the next time. Because there's like one roof that part of it collapsed and then part of another roof is gonna collapse. Well, it's gonna be toast. It's fucked. It was built in a way that rain could get through into the beams, and so the beams rotted, and so now they're rotting beams that are going to fall down. That's a very bad way to build a building, in my very biased opinion. Look up there. Nice cloud with the sun behind. Oh yeah, I was going to go over the other. See, the thing is, it's far, far, far. I was going to go over to that place at the high point of the other side of the land. Not the high point, but almost the high point. and then look at the sunset and evaluate how cool it was. But the problem is I don't have good enough lights to get my way back here. Oh, fuck. All my headlamps are broken. I have these two $4 lights that still work, and I bought 4 of them. 2 of them are broken. The other 2 don't last very long. I can't walk anywhere. Cell phone light doesn't count. Cell phones go dead here. There's not enough electricity. I'm fixing that. I need to make certain technological and structural changes in order to have this place even be a safe location for normal people to be. And that is based on my extensive experience with normal people, or whatever weird, fucked up demographic I was hosting. But mostly nice people, but you know, every kind of idiot adventure that can happen has happened, I hope, already. Because people really are very, very diverse, and some of them are difficult to deal with. And luckily, you never have to deal with that here if I can do things right, if I reopen it correctly. What ethics do I require? I don't know. Some. Probably a bunch. It's a good thing to fucking think about is, you know, you've seen many cases where people fuck each other over. And you would like to not be part of those, right? Because those suck. And you would like to be a good person to all people. Hopefully. Can you even see that? Let's see here. So the problem with the really cool sunset watching spot is it's too far away for me to get to and get back. But normally, if I'm well equipped, and if everybody else here is well equipped with headlamps, that is not a problem. And that's why I have to really push headlamps and have like links to buy them, and tell anyone from the States buy them there and then bring them in. Bring in 3 headlamps. Leave all of them as donations. USB rechargeable LED headlamps only. Ideally with those replaceable blue batteries, but I don't know if any of them have those. They're bigger than a AA, and they're blue. There's a name for them. I don't know what it is. Sure someone will comment. But they're a better choice. I think one of the things I've tried to communicate here to people who are going to come here is you must have enough personal lighting in your possession to survive if all the light goes out and you're left in the dark where you could get hypothermia because it's fucking dark at night. And of course, most of the time you won't be walking on a dark trail at night. Well, hopefully you'll be back where you belong at your campsite with your nice people there and your campfire. But for now, being out after dark is a bad idea unless you're really well equipped for it. And that's going to limit you because I have a big space. And you're going to want to walk around a lot in really dark places if you were here. And I have to approve my infrastructure. I know that. That's on me. But it isn't there now. And I'm trying to help people survive and be comfortable. So I got to tell them, bring not just a light, bring the best solar charged lights you can. Get him as a sponsor if you want. I don't know. Do you know anybody in a family who owns a solar stuff company? I mean, if there was a good sponsor, they could send a representative of their cool products. It'd be really neat. because it's just too fucking dark here. Now, once I replace my solar power system, things will suddenly enlighten in multiple spots, and that's a really good thing. I already have buried cables for it. And so one fix will serve multiple locations. But I want to immediately build another system way up there. And that's because the infrastructure is ready for it. And it would serve an enormous area. And there would be Wi-Fi, and there would be lit places at night. And we could run cables to cabins. And those cabins would then have power. And a cabin with power has value all night. And there's so many places here I can build. Every one of them is the problem. Is the difficulty is I have to be extremely sensitive about it. I have dug into the land. I have cut trees. And everywhere is grown over. It's not like I have places where there is no plants. Very few. And so I feel happy about the overall health of the forest. Not concerned about that. The question is, how would I, having the experience I've had of having people here, what would I change immediately to allow for a better space, to share it better, have it be better? And I think it's actually, as I think about it, it's near my house, and that's weird. But van camping near my house, probably up there. I can do that easily. Tent camping right down in there. The sun comes up right in there. It will wake up the people. It's mixed in with some trees, so it's, semi-wind protected and pleasant. There used to be a trail there. This is down from the stone building here. All along that. Could all be developed as a pleasant camping spot, and then make trails to get up to here. And, or up to there would be better. It would be better if we channel them that way. I want to actually keep people out of the lodge. I would like to build around the lodge. There's a stone concrete space out here. This needs to be enclosed with a concrete structure by people who can assure me it is structurally sound in whatever way is needed. And I want to build that up at least one story to make another triangle up there. And there'll be tinacos up there to store water. In fact, the whole roof of it will also capture water. So that'd be pretty cool. And then off of this, I could then jut the building out. I don't like stairs much. There's stairs right here. There's stone stairs. It's possible I could put camping out that direction, and that is also a viable spot. It's also more central. That's near the dance floor, the forest dance floor. That is not a bad spot to put camping either, actually. And a fire pit and all that. Have a whole private campground right there. Not a bad idea. Anyway, there's just too many ideas about what to build and where. The question is, what gives me the biggest bang for the buck? And what lasts a long time? A lot of people will suggest glamping. And I'm not totally against the idea of such a thing. But the problem always comes back to be open to the public or not. Also, glamping has tents, and tents are going to get destroyed in the solar radiation. So for the same price, or maybe it's even 3 times more, I get something that never rots in the sun. In other words, I don't want to buy a building that rots in the sun. I've seen advertisements for them. I've seen advertisements for really cool tents. I would rather build a shitty block of bricks than I would to have a glamping tent that's going to just rot in the sun. And I'm sure that's not true for other places. Maybe they have less radiation than I have here. Maybe they just have a different point of view and they're investing and they want it, you know. I don't know. I mean, I did mention the tarp, and the tarp idea was to put it up and down between two trees and buy the biggest camo tarp I could possibly buy. And that would make an area for camping. Now, since I know exactly where that tarp's going to be and those cables are always in the same spot, I can also happen to make things around it, like an outdoor fire pit. A composting toilet. In other words, I could make an area, this is true right now, where I somehow got these tarps up. And it could be that there's even another cable where two sides of it go to the ground, and that breaks some of the wind that is existing. But I'd rather just stretch the whole thing out and then cob around it, make cob walls. And those cob walls can even have little ovens that don't conflict with the tarp at all, because the tarp's always in exactly the same spot. And related fire pits. Obviously, we need a composting toilet anyway, and that could just be at the edge of the tarp. You know, we could even, and even though I'm against temporary structures, that's what we're talking about right now. We could even have the white Costco carports. I don't like those, partly because they're bright white, and that's obnoxious in a forest. But other than that, I like the breakdown ability of them and the stuff. I think, I guess my decision for me is to invest in more permanent infrastructure and improve it. And then look for profitability doing that rather than getting glamping stuff. Now, a way around that limitation, because that limits what housing I can provide for people, right? One way around that is actually to go potentially to like medieval fairs and festivals of certain types. And I don't know how medieval fairs around here work. Never been to one. But anybody who owns a large tent that is really cool and has a vehicle that is highly functional and is within driving distance of here, and listened very carefully to our propaganda about who we invite and don't invite. In other words, don't invite anybody without approval. And you have to get an orientation on how to invite people anyway, because we don't want anyone we have to uninvite, and so therefore it should be hard to get invited. And that includes your significant other. Wow. One really nice thing is that I'm in this weird, awkward stage of the forest now, where I have trimmed a lot of it, and there's really nothing else I can trim. There's a few spots I could and might someday, but there's really no rush, and I can't do everything at once anyway, so it's better just to let stuff grow whenever possible, you know, and it grows up really fast anyway. And around everything now, there's a higher diversity. So yeah, there's still some trees that are going to be really annoying later. Like I would top one over there. That's going to be annoying. And trees are going to fall on shit. Any tree that's going to fall on shit is signed up for death without even being guilty, except to being a tree in the wrong spot. Don't be a tree in the wrong spot. But you're not a tree, you're human, so you can probably adjust and survive as being a good person. And sometimes you should move yourself and change yourself. If you haven't done that, something's wrong with you. No offense. But, so it's actually great that I have all these resources. I should make an initial building project, which was actually just putting tile roofs up. That was it. And that's because that would actually create camping spots underneath them. It would be a low tile roof. It would have rain capture that went off into a tank near there. That was not for drinking, but might feed into some other system. Could tile roofs be okay on composting toilets? Maybe. The problem is we really want our composting toilets to be super, super clean. And no matter how you think about them, tiles do tend to move around a little bit. And stuff does, I want the toilets to be extra clean. And so I think that'd be a bad use of the tiles. Over donkeys or burrows, that'd be fine. I would love to build a burrow house. We can start out with people camping under it until we get burrows. I already want to plant cedar fences for livestock because I believe cedar, like three levels, even 4 of cedars, letting those grow up to this height, somewhere in here, until it's really hard to cut it, but you still keep cutting it to keep it denser. You control that cedar so it doesn't become a line of trees. That's how you grow a fence here, easiest way. Pretty sure. Anyway, it's not going to hurt. You can always kill it later. We just have to mass reproduce the cedar seedlings again, because all mine died. It's very sad. And ultimately that means setting up a system that will water huge amounts of plants here out of season. If I have the water, which I currently have, I should be using that to maximize my reproduction of plant possibilities. I should probably have a graph online or available to me of all my water levels in all my tinacos, my tanks. That should get cleaned up right there. That's like the door into the water. And you don't even want to get in there because it's so dirty. And it's just a matter of sweeping it. If somebody just has to sweep this thing, that would take care of all the problems out here. And then this does collect water right here and becomes a lake. That's one of my primary reasons for saying that I want to put a roof over this right there. It's not just for the luxurious wonderfulness of having a space that the wind will still come We'll be out of the sun and the rain, and we can reproduce plants on it and see them. And there is water. There will be water available because we will have a solar pump that results in a tap right here for watering plants, and also pumps it up in the back. That's been broken for over a decade. Luckily, I can water plants down there straight out of this big cistern. So this is really the agricultural cistern. That's its only purpose. I don't even ever take water out of this to drink. It's clean enough, I think, but I don't have a pump, so. I don't know if I finished answering the question. What other trees would I put in here? Any kind of figs are welcome. Those really shaded trees down in the town, I want those. Rubber trees are fine. I have a little bit of them. They survive. They probably like a little moisture, so we could try planting some of those in gullies. Are they useful for anything at all? I have no idea what the fuck they even are. But they look cool. They have thick leaves. And, you know, it wouldn't hurt to reproduce them. They seem easy to reproduce. That's another factor. The jacarandas are a little more difficult. And also, even though they look a pretty purple, I don't know what use they have. I would still plant them anyway. I think I would love to just go ahead and say, look, here's the metric. Everything we have seeds for and time for, we will grow. But in order to have time for it, you have to fund it. Because ultimately, nobody can really work for free at real jobs. And we may have a volunteer program still, again, but not until there's an actual income. Bummer, but there's no more money to have volunteers with. And some volunteers feel entitled to it, and they're kind of assholes. Not all of them. Most of them are great, probably. But I don't know. I'd have to be convinced to have volunteers here again, even if I had money. You know, they should raise money for their travels. They should figure it the fuck out. They live in rich places. They come from rich families, many of them. And they should fund this place heavier than any other that they go to. In fact, if you want to come here the smartest way, like one guy came here and he had a sponsor of a restaurant in the UK. And they sent him here for research. And we hauled that guy's ass around and took him to food stuff of all kinds, and he tried a bunch of stuff. He learned a bunch of stuff. We gave him a great local experience. It was really fun. He was a really nice, funny guy. He's actually Irish, but he lives in London. And I liked that he had a sponsor, because all he had to do was have a good time. We recorded it, so he wanted the video to show where they had sent him and what he got done. It helps him take notes as well. It helps him remember his own trip. You know, he asked the recipe for something on camera. Well, notes have been taken. Yeah, people should get sponsors. That'd be cool. In fact, I should actually make a package for that, of like proposing that to various product sponsors and say, hey, send your person down here with this list of stuff from your company, who works for your company, and is dynamic, good on camera. We can assure their security to the best of our ability. That's a good goal to have. A lot of people have come here and had a great time. So I'm currently closed down at the moment while I record this, but I'd like to reopen it, and I would like to make thousands of invites that are fairly targeted to people. or companies. In this case, I'm talking about sponsors. And so, like, I would want a company that makes a bunch of a product that we really like different camping products, for example. And they could bring down a selected bunch of those products, or they could ship them here, somehow get them here. To be safe, we should probably get them here before the person gets here. Because if they show up without the product, that kind of ruins the review aspect of it and showing off the product, doesn't it? So, they could send 2 people. Probably a guy and a girl. Just to expand our demographics to whatever gender relation there is to a demographic. Which is, of course, annoying, but that's how it is. And then we'd have a group of playful, fun people play with their product. Perhaps recording different videos for different social media channels using the same products, same person even. We could delay publishing of one of them till after the other, and the sponsor can appear to have gone to multiple places. That sounds amusing. I guess if I was going to have a company that was a sponsor, though, I would want to know what they're like. And I also don't want them to be a corporation. Not to be too much of a bigot about things. But corporations, I think, because no one's individually responsible, do bad things. It appears it's that simple. If you are a small person within your stockholders and you want to maximize your profits, or even just be good and stuff, whatever way, the problem is you might be more tempted to maximize your profits than to serve the long-term interests of your customers and or clients, depending on who you're serving and how. But certainly with social media, we're seeing its absolute disintegration. And I'm enjoying it. I think it's horrible and hilarious. Disintegration of social media and shitification. That's kind of where we're at. The only solution is to rewrite the internet and have it be private. I need to look into a couple systems like Discord and others to see if those meet my needs. I honestly don't know. I don't have time for every fucking thing, and I should figure out Discord right away, though. Why not? I think it's invite-only spaces, and I could, go through my Facebook friends list and say, what kind of list would you want to join? And then invite them to that kind of list. That would be pretty cool. I feel very disconnected from people I used to know. That's my fault, that's their fault. But whatever, it's everybody's fault. Who gives a shit? They are one of the demographics I would like to invite here is people I used to know. A lot of them are not active on social media, which is impressive. I like that because I think it's good to get off social media, even though I'm still using it. I use it because that's my communication tool. That's what I'm using. Still sucks. Well, the drone got done today. This has been a long ass day. And it was a long time coming to get the drone here. And it's going to be a while before I get maps. So that's going to be harsh, because now I'm all excited about these maps. I do immediately got to start a crowdfunding thing. I'm in dire straits. And I should probably give a fuck about that. I don't give too much of a fuck, but a little bit of a fuck, because shit's fucked up. Everything's going to get dark really fast. That is bad. So I must do good things. Alright, well, we'll see what I do. Maybe I should have a light on me. God damn. I'm carrying too much crap around. Alright. I'll do this. So make sure I'm not stuck in total darkness. Because there's a huge danger of that here. Being stuck in total darkness. And I'm not kidding when I say that, unfortunately. I don't know how I'm ever going to do it. The only thing I can think of is this. If I really want to solve the problem, I got to stop expecting people to bring everything that they need. But I also need to start a camping store. And a camping store that's not related to me. And it should have everything in it to buy with cash or a donation to the project, to buy whatever camping gear your group suddenly realizes it needs that it didn't know it needed before. Hell, for a high enough price, I would sell ice blocks. And that would be calculated based on the solar panels it would take to run an ice maker during the day to deliver them into a root cellar. That's how it'd be calculated. It would not be cheap. Shouldn't be cheap. Shouldn't be cheap. If we're going to go that far, we can always make ice cream, can't we? I mean, all these things just got to be costed out. Every function you think of as in normal society, you have to think of it in terms of how much exact system, electrical systems does it take to run that one thing. And having independent ones like that would actually be pretty impressive. Like something that made enough ice cream all day using just solar power that you could sell it during the day and night. Something like that. I mean, ice cream's not my priority, and I don't know, I don't have milk here, and I don't really want to start milking stuff, so that's just an example. Okay, it's one example of thousands of like what cool shit could be built here as independent systems that show how things actually work. It would be interesting to just put some solar panels up here where the sun hits early in the morning and then have example technologies around it. I think I have some tiles up there I could probably use for that, actually. Although that's a really highly valuable spot I want to use for other shit. So this would be a better idea somewhere else. But somehow have solar panels that power things like you can choose like which thing you want to power. Do you want to power a washing machine? Do you want to power a, I don't know, what are all the devices? A blender. And so you have a roof there too, so people can be in the shade. And then using these tools right near solar panels. And some of them should be also able to be in the sun, because in the morning that is first light, and there should be plenty of places to sit in the sun up there. This is all behind this building here. and that also gets the late day sun. And so really it's a comfort spot that is served by the late day sun and the early sun the best. And it becomes then an area above it where people could camp out. And up there somewhere we're going to put in composting toilets. And I mean, that's also very close into where I'm at right now. And so in terms of strategy of where we build, that is not a bad spot. It really isn't. It already gets people a little further uphill, which gets them slightly closer to way over there where most people would want to be. Fuck, I already ate some sandwiches today. I don't feel like eating anything. I haven't been eating very much. I think I'm losing weight. I don't care. I'm happy about it. I did buy this cranberry juice, which it turns out it's kind of acidic, really. It's quite good, though. If you drink too many glasses of it, though, before you go to bed, maybe that's a bad idea, because it is kind of acidic. Cranberry juice. It's a luxury, but immediately it makes me wonder, how come I'm not growing cranberries? Another question I have is really how extreme can I get with microclimates? I really want to, but like could I make bigger ones that I could grow stuff that I've forgotten about, like huckleberries, for example. When I went hiking in the woods up where I come from, there was a lot of huckleberries. There was red and blue huckleberries. You learn real quick how to identify them. They're quite easy to identify. They don't look like anything else. You know, don't go eating whatever berry you find in the forest. Don't be a dumbass. But if you know what they are, you know, just be you and the bears eating them. I don't know if those would grow here or not. It's pretty fucking dry. I think that's the thing, is I have to make places that are way wetter and are actually somewhat shaded to mimic the conditions of where I'm from. And that's actually a tempting goal. And I could do this. This is a brilliant idea for really using microclimates to the maximum. I have, let's look at my most extreme microclimates, okay? We're going to call it low, cool middle, boring middle, and upper. I don't want to insult that place by calling it boring. That's terrible. We'll just call it purple, okay? So we've got low, cool middle, purple, and upper. I'm not sure really this is the best naming process. We could just name A, B, C, D, going from top to bottom. Could do that. Anyway, I can turn those into ideal microclimates by planting hedges along the edges to cut down on wind flow through there while not cutting down on a lot of light. Instead, letting a lot of light in at certain spots and not others. Filling it with tons of composted oak leaves. There's a whole hillside there I can scrape them off of, and I'd like to see what's under there anyway. It's never been harvested in for as long as I know about. And some guys with rakes could go on that whole slope and rake every leaf in that whole place into that ravine, where they would then rot. And they would rot quicker than normal since it's more humid down there than normal. And they could also scrape in Terra de Encino, composted oak leaves. So not just fresh oak leaves, but composted ones. And now suddenly I have huge amounts of dirt available. And it might be as we go down the slope that we decide we're going to dump it more in one spot than another. Because I think if we just dump it everywhere and have an even amount, I think we'll get less bang for our buck. And I really want some success. And so I think that very specifically deciding kind of the funnels through which we decide to drag all this terra encino and then dump it over the edge, it will stack upon itself and fall down, but it will fall down exactly where we want it to. In all cases, every case. And nobody should fucking fall in there. That would be a faux pas. That's another reason to plant like whole hedgerows along the edges of it. Not right along it. In fact, I think they should be away from it a little bit, and that there should be spots within the hedgerow, between the hedgerow and the ravine, that were actually usable by someone or something. I think there should be spots that are overlooks of the ravine. There might be a bridge across the ravine, like a cable bridge. I don't picture doing that, but it would be a first start, because there's spots where it sucks to go down into the ravine and you want to go across it. So, and people love stuff like, cable bridges. It would have to be really well made, and it could not be dangerous at all, because I don't like danger. Danger is upsetting. I wonder how high I could get somebody up in a tree safely. That's a really good question. And there's a difference between pines and oaks. That's what I see here that are really big, is pines and oaks. There's 3 cool pines down there that I'm not sure are mine or not. They might be across the property line. But I've got various pines everywhere. And it is tempting to like make ways for people to get up into them better. I mean, I guess treehouse is the ultimate thing. The problem is I don't trust the pines. They get hit by lightning and they fall over. So I'm really thinking oaks. If I'm going to build into trees, it's going to be oaks all the way. And I want to shape whole floors. Like, I think we should use oaks and then shape them as living beams, and know that it's going to take us 400 years to grow that house if we have to. It won't take 400 years. Now, if you help that oak out, now if it's a really good oak. And you could use other trees for the same reason. I mean, there's no reason not to. You could wind capulines in there. That's black cherry. And that grows fast. And you could guide it through the oak as it grows to strengthen the oak. Since you know they're not going to get to mature,